Ladies and gentlemen, the subject for today is relations between my home country, the United Kingdom, and Saudi Arabia. I find it unsettling and distasteful the more I read about our very close ties with this absolute monarchy of the Arabian desert. We've been an ally of this state since its bloody formation. The original ruler, a man who declared himself king, a conqueror, Ibn Saud. This man's rise to power was a very brutal one. The militia that helped him rise to power, his allies, many of them revolted against him. So he had them killed, massacred in the desert. Saudi Arabia has seen many kings come and go or rule and die over the decades. Ibn Saud, the first ruler. Every ruler thereafter, one of his sons. All ruling with an iron fist, following Wahhabist principles, adhering strictly to Sharia law, dealing with enemies real or imagined in the most brutal fashion. Its judicial system is actually apartheid, sectarian. Black people, women, Shia, are debarred from the judicial system, the courts of the land. The executions, the treatment of dissidents, the treatment of non-Muslims, the treatment of Muslims who aren't Wahhabist, the treatment of migrant workers as indentured slaves, all of this and more is well documented, but the UK, and of course the United States of America, continue to support this medieval regime. It's about oil, money, and geopolitics. The UK's arms deals with the House of Saud are well documented also. Look into the Al-Yamamah deals. Oil for weapons, oil for military hardware. BAE Systems, British Defence Security and Aerospace Company, has made tens of billions of pounds off this deal, and they stand to make tens of billions more. According to Wikipedia, there's more than 200 joint ventures between British and Saudi companies worth £17.5 billion, and it should come as little surprise that Saudi Arabia is the UK's #1 trading partner in the Middle East. Born in blood, only surviving because of the ruthless violence it employs, the House of Saud is surely one of the most reprehensible and tyrannical regimes in the world today. Close ties with our royal family, close ties with our government. The history of the British Empire in the Middle East is a long and complex one. British Empire and Ottoman Empire were involved in Arabian conflicts in the earlier part of the 20th century. The lands of the House of Saud were a British protectorate. A treaty in 1915, Treaty of Darren, was an early attempt to define the boundaries of the developing Saudi state. But what we know as Saudi Arabia today wasn't formally established until 1932. If history had played out differently in the 20th century, perhaps another regime, another country, would have sat where Saudi Arabia sits today. And maybe this country would not have been so friendly to Western interests. But like Saudi Arabia, it would have, let's imagine, oppressed its peoples in a similar brutal fashion. If this were the case, do you think maybe certain media in the US, the UK, and elsewhere might point the finger of condemnation and make considerably more noise about human rights abuses in this part of the Middle East than they do now, if you get what I'm saying? We were friends with the Shah in Iran. Yeah, ourselves in the US. Not a nice guy. Not friends with the Iranians anymore, are we? Criticism of dictatorships and criticism of tyrants seems very selective. It's almost as if oil, money, greed, national self-interest have the power to cloud moral thinking and ethical decision-making. Strange, that.